What's up, everybody? Welcome into We All Gamble NFL edition. This is week 16. Happy holidays out there to all of you. Whatever you're celebrating, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it might be. Merry Christmas. I'm Andrew, Jake to my left, Noah to my right. We got games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, so looking forward to it. Any opening thoughts, or should we just dive right in, boys?
Eagles suck. Eagles are awful. Done with them.
Second.
Packers beat the Chiefs and Lions and lose to the Buccaneers and Giants. Those are my thoughts. We good for week 16?
Yeah,
I'm
not going to talk about the Eagles too much. Fuck them right now.
And the Packers suck too, so yeah.
Yeah.
No, I honestly
Saturday?
had the worst gambling week in probably recorded history. I think I went, let's just have a look back. I went 1-4-6. Shout out me.
Okay.
Shout out me.
It's only getting better this week.
I mean,
that means
it could get worse.
you're
Statistically, it could get worse. It could get worse. No, I had an abysmal week, to say the least. I was just looking at the games and I was just like, damn, I can't believe we recorded that episode last week and that's out there forever. Someone could just go back and be like, well, this is an idiot. But no, other than that, games were pretty good, obviously. Eagles suck. Reiterate that a couple times, but
it'd be funny if someone made like a bloopers of us, just like a mixtape someday, looking back.
Dude, I'm either really good or just the worst. I don't think there's like a middle ground. It's just like I'm just either really good or just the absolute worst gambler in history.
That's what they want to hear.
Honestly,
keep it real.
Sometimes, I swear,
the footage shows.
The funny thing is,
hide it.
When you do picks, people actually unfortunately, people like that better. Because they know when to ride you.
Yeah,
Hopefully
this is a bounce back.
Hopefully this is a bounce back week, but
yeah, huge pause. Did you see Gardner Minshew in the middle of his?
Yeah,
just the slyest pause.
Shout out to Cam and Mace, man.
Yeah,
they're
everybody's on the pause these days. You got to. But I guess we could just jump into Saturday. Saturdays, there's actually two pretty good games. Well, one good game on Saturday, and then one potentially good game. Depends if the Bills show up or not. If the Bills show up, probably going to be a blowout. But speaking of the Bills, I'm just going to dive right into that game. Spread was a little too big for me. 12.5. I know the Chargers suck. Easton Stick was garbage, but somehow still threw 3 touchdowns and over 250 yards. So but ate a 60 burger, which is always tough to see in the NFL. So I stayed away from, points, spreads, totals, all that good stuff. I'm just going to go to the tried and true. Chargers secondary absolutely sucks. So I took Diggs anytime touchdown score plus 100. Feels like the last couple weeks Diggs has been pretty quiet, but the Bills have been rolling. I'm hoping for a bounce back spot here for him, especially against a weaker secondary. Weaker is an understatement, bottom 2 in the league. So coming off a huge loss against the Raiders, I wasn't comfortable taking 13 points. The guys were embarrassed despite, everybody already mailing it in. I don't think anybody wants to have that feeling again on it's not a primetime game, but to me it's a primetime game because it's Saturday afternoon. Yeah. There's not usually games on Saturdays, so everyone's going to be watching it. So short and sweet. I like Diggs anytime touchdown scored, and hopefully the game's competitive, but you never know what you're going to get out of this Chargers team.
Yeah. I'll go just because I'm on the same game. This will kind of help into your pick, I think. I'm just going to take Josh Allen's over on passing yards. I know last week, they let James cook. That was kind of the whole thing, but Josh Allen still needs that bounce back game. I know last game was kind of the Bills bounce back game, but Josh Allen, didn't really throw a whole lot. They just kind of ran the ball so well, which isn't really the Bills' recipe always for success. So I see a big Josh Allen game, especially against a really bad secondary. I kind of felt you on the points and the spread. The Chargers last week made the Raiders look like an all-time NFL team. They looked incredible, which could happen, but Brandon Staley's gone. It's an interim coach head game. I've been on here and said, always take the interim head coach, but this Chargers team is way too bad for that. But yeah, just give me Josh Allen's over on 244.5, so 245. I think that's definitely doable for him in a bounce back.
Side note, if Austin Eckler doesn't go off for me in fantasy this week, dead to me. Absolutely dead to me. That guy sucks. Oh, running backs need more money. I'm going to lead the charge. Well, fucking do something then. Please. Just do something.
It's actually funny because like this week on like gambling Twitter, I've seen people either loving him or hating on him. Either there's no, you know what I mean? There's no in between with him. I feel like they're either going to utilize him a lot. The fact is, I think if they're even remotely involved in the game, I think it's because of him. Would you agree? Like he needs to be in the game.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
the guy had 26 rushing yards last week against a Raiders defense that's like okay. Nothing to ride home about.
And a decent amount of carries too.
Yeah,
that's
the guys. I don't know, man. If you're gonna kumbaya about more money, show why. If you're the head of it, show why running backs deserve more money. After watching that game, I was like, screw this guy. Don't care about him. He could never carry the ball again, and I wouldn't care.
One thing for Austin Eckler, I'd say, I think that I don't do the combo bets very much. Like, you know how NBA you can do PRA or the rushing plus receiving for NFL.
Yeah.
Like, most of the time, I actually look to bet the under with those. 'Cause I feel like you're just like, if you've got a guy like a running back that never actually catches the ball, you can just boost pretty much just his rushing yard up. You know what I mean? With Eckler, I would look towards the over on his rushing plus receiving because they might try and simplify the offense, and he could be kind of like that dump off type of guy. So get a little bit of yards in the ground and through the air. But for Saturday, for me, I've got Joe Mixon over 18.5 receiving yards. He missed this last week by just like 4 or 5 yards, but he has gone over this number in 4 of his last 5. They're going up against the Steelers, who have a really heavy pass rush. And this is just a simple strategy I use all the time with props. When I'm seeing a team go up against a team with a heavy pass rush, they're going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. And you get rid of the ball quickly, you might not have time to go downfield as much as, let your guys complete their routes, let them get to the spots they need to. The pass rush comes in, Mixon floats off to the side, and they complete that pass. So 18.5. The best part about that with running backs receiving yards is I think with Mixon, you need like 3 catches and you get there. Maybe even 2. Like, he could break off for quite a bit. And for the next one in that game, I only have props. Jaylen Warren, over 43.5 rushing yards. He's been sharing the load with Najee, the 1-yard man, Harris. And I think people are realizing that Warren's actually just better than him. So the workload, and he's a little bit banged up too, Harris. So, earlier in the season, Najee Harris and A.J. Dillon were competing with who can have the average lower per rushing yards. And I think that that's kind of just proven to the Steelers that Warren might be the guy on the come up, and he might be a guy that can deserve more. And I believe it's like 24th or 27th in the league for the Bengals on their rushing defense. So their secondary is actually a lot better than their rushing defense. So 2 props for me in that one, and then I'll finish off Saturday. I'm playing the Noah angle. I was surprised you didn't say it. The fresh off coach getting fired. Like, people ripped on Staley for weeks and called him a bonehead. He said he's calling the plays on defense. Everybody stopped asking me. And yep, he definitely was calling the plays, and his team quit on him. Like, if there's ever an example of a defense quitting on a coach, that was probably it. A 60 spot, like Jake said. And the Bills off a bye week beat the Chiefs, and then who was it last week?
Oh man,
Cowboys. Was it
Yeah,
Cowboys?
yeah, it was
Cowboys. So 2 big wins off the bye. I think it could be a letdown. Let's not forget, like, it's not like they need to cover the spread in order to win that division or make the playoffs. They just need to win. So as Jake mentioned, lots of points. So 2 props for me in the first game, and smaller play for me on the Chargers plus the points.
Yeah, there's one story note about the Bengals and Steelers game. Is this going to be like the first season that Tomlin doesn't go 500? Because they're sitting at 500 right now, and they got the Bengals this week, which tough game. You got the Seahawks next week at Seattle, tough game, and then you're at Baltimore to end the year. Mm-hmm. This, like, if you're going with like kind of like the Mike Tomlin story of like his career, this game is almost like a must win because you're probably going to lose to Baltimore.
yeah,
You probably
that Patriots game was a must win.
Yeah.
They lost to the Pats.
Well, they've
like,
lost their last 3, so
Yeah.
they've lost to the Cardinals, the Pats, and the Colts in their last 3. So
yeah. I that's why I stuck away from that's a big reason why I stuck away from that Bengals Pittsburgh game. Like, in terms of like picking a side, because like Bengals have been super hot. Jake Browning's looked very, very good, and he has a ton of weapons, but like there is that point where, like, where is Jake Browning going to be a backup quarterback? When am I going to see that? Like, he's gotten himself a lot of money already, like, from a team to be a good backup somewhere, but some point it's going to happen. And Pittsburgh has a great defense. So.
They're on a 3-game win streak. They've beat the Jags, Colts, and Vikings. So I'd say 2 really good wins. Colts and Jags are both good teams. They absolutely stomped the Colts. Vikings, it's an okay win. It's a win, though. But then you got Steelers, Chiefs, Browns, who all have pretty good defenses. And then you got the Chiefs, who have a really good quarterback. And then you got the Browns, who Joe Flacco looks like he's dialed back the time machine about 15 years.
I love that so much, man.
I honestly hope they make the playoffs and like go far. Like, seeing Joe, like, have you seen, like, do you guys know who
his passing yards every week too?
Oh yeah, he's been money. Do you guys know who Stavros is? Helkias, no. the comedian. All right, he's like a huge Baltimore Ravens fan, so he makes these like skits after. Yeah, dude, he had one last week, or was it last week? No, it was when they played the Ravens. Sorry, it was week 11. You know, he didn't play week 11. Anyways, he had something about Joe Flacco where he was just talking about him, and it was the funniest shit ever. Like, you could tell people in Baltimore still, like, absolutely love that dude.
Oh, yeah. They have to.
They have to show love.
They absolutely love that guy.
Yeah.
But I guess we could jump into Sunday here, and I said I was never going to do this again, but this is the ultimate never going to do this again. If they let me down, I'm basically fading them for the rest of the season. If they make the Super Bowl and win, then I'm just going to be down a bunch of units, but fuck it. I'm going to take the Lions -3.
Okay, there has to be, like,
there's got to be something with this.
If we were doing stats about, like, most bet on team on this podcast, it's definitely the Lions.
By a mile.
They started the season off covering a lot. There's no denying that. But
I just can't not do it.
They're the We All Gamble most bet team. For sure.
My most bet team is Detroit this year for
like,
sure.
I can't not do it. Like, I know, like, big win last week, 42-17 against the Broncos. Obviously, you got beat by the Bears, which is disappointing. And then you had a win against the Saints, and then you lost to the Packers. But before that, you also beat the Bears and the Chargers. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster as of late. Vikings somehow have managed to crawl back to 7-7, which, what the fuck? Like, thought that season was over when Kirk went down. But Nick Mullins, who knows? Might be a guy, might not be a guy.
That story to me is so funny because, like, everyone's going nuts about Josh Dobbs.
Yeah.
Then he kind of falls off. Then everyone's like, oh, who is this guy? It's like, you know what I mean? A kid in a candy store. Like, you see a new toy, you know what I mean? Like, the second that one guy has a bad game, they're like, oh, did Josh Dobbs come back to earth, right?
Yeah, Mullins, the one thing I'll say about Mullins is Mullins is, throughout his career, has been, you know, like a pretty good backup. Like, I won't say one of the better ones, but he's like middle of the road. So you're always happy to have a guy like that, but definitely prone to turnovers. And I saw something where the Lions this season, if they're playing in a dome or like a warm climate, something like, it was like Jared Goff is like 20 touchdowns and like 5 interceptions.
That's like the cold, man.
Like, he just doesn't like the cold. He needs to be in a dome or somewhere warm. We're in a dome at Minnesota. I think the Lions kind of need to get on a roll again going into the playoffs. The NFC, it's, you know, I'll say it's a 2-3 team race. I hesitant to put my Eagles in there, but I'm going to, just out of loyalty, even though it still fucked them. But I like what the Lions have, the ground game, the passing options. Jared Goff, I think as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, and we say that every week when we bet them, that they'll be all right. The point spread's a little fishy at 3. Like, I think the Vikings are okay, but 3 points to me is it's a little suspect, even though they're at home. But this is a retirement game. I always have my betting retirement games where if I don't win, I go into retirement, and they always hit. So this is a Lions bet retirement game. If they do not win, I will fade them the rest of the season until they get eliminated. And if they win the Super Bowl, then I chalk it up to I'm down units.
Yeah. I actually don't think I could have said it any better. I'm literally tailing Jake on every single thing he said, because I swear to God, if I because I bet the Broncos money line last Saturday night. Yeah. I was high on the Broncos, man. I was ready for them to win that game and just got absolutely destroyed. I was like, this is what I get for going against Detroit. This is what I get. But no, I'm back. But this is my last. I swear to God, if they can't beat the fucking Vikings,
You should have just stuck with them the whole time.
I should have, because I would have been up so much money this year if I just kept riding them out. But nah, if they don't cover 3 against Minnesota, like I know they're at Minnesota and everything Jake said, but this is the type of game that's like truthfully going to tell if they're frauds or not to me. If they lose, I will be fading them the rest of the year. I'm with Jake.
I'm down. Like, if I got to lose money to prove a point, then I got to lose money to prove a point.
Yeah, I'm that stubborn at this point.
Just the shit on a team. Just
Yeah,
be like,
yeah.
you know what? You guys are frauds.
No, fuck Detroit if they don't win.
And the one thing that I'll say too lately that I've really liked is at the start of the year, David Montgomery was like the guy and Jahmyr Gibbs was getting no play. And it seems like that's kind of like turned since Montgomery got hurt and came back. It's like, I think Dan Campbell understands that Gibbs like offers more. Like, obviously, Montgomery's a really good running back, really good short yardage, goal line guy. So, like, could still get those touchdowns. But in between, like, the 20s, like, Jahmyr shouldn't come off the field unless he's asking to. He's been really explosive as of late, and I really like how they've been using him. Obviously, last week, Sam Laporta showed why he was such a high pick for a tight end. Like, everybody was Kincaid. And I think Laporta's just kind of shown, like, hey, like, I think I'm better than this guy, and I think I'm better than a lot of tight ends in the league. And I know it's only year one, and there's still a lot of time for him to go downhill, which obviously we don't want to see happen. I actually really like him as a player. But I think right now it's like him, Kelsey, and Hawkinson are the top 3 tight ends, right? Like pass-catching tight ends in the NFL right now. And if you want to chuck David Njoku in there over the last like 3 weeks, 4 weeks since Flacco's come in, he's actually been getting the ball. But to me, like those are the guys right now where like if you're looking for like some value on tight ends, usually numbers are set pretty low. You usually get some decent odds on anytime touchdown scores. Usually the receptions aren't over 3.5, maybe 4.5. Obviously, Kelsey's going to be the outlier on all of this just because Vegas is never going to let you get a win on them on Kelsey. But I also like, I'm not going to give this out as a pick, but I also like Laporta on his yards because Goff really trusts him. And I think he's kind of come that safety blanket, and Amon-Ra's kind of the guy that's the explosive player now. And then you chuck Jahmyr Gibbs in there when they're rolling, they're pretty unpredictable.
I saw someone saying today how long until Laporta's going ahead of Kelsey in drafts, fantasy drafts.
He's
Might
so
not be
good,
long,
man.
He did have a favorable matchup last week.
But he's
but like as far as like his tight end matchup,
going into like obviously like not a fantasy podcast, but like I have Laporta in all of my fantasy leagues. Like I drafted him in all of them but one, and realized I didn't pick him, and I just dropped my backup tight end like soon as the draft was over and just picked him up. He's been tight end either 2, 3, or 4 for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's just been absolutely eating this year for fantasy football, and now he's the number 1 ranked tight end in fantasy, right? Obviously last weekend's going to do that for you. Tight ends don't put up too many points, but I like the guy. I think any team would be lucky to have a Laporta right now, especially in the new age NFL where tight ends aren't really asked to block too much anymore. You have a specific, tight end package that will do that for you. But I'm again all in with Noah. If the Lions lose here, fuck them. I hope Dan Campbell gets fired.
All right. I'm going to rock with Falcons -2.5. It was -1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So money's coming in. This year in the NHL or NFL, that means shit. But I really like this spot. I think there's been a lot of Colts love this season. They've been a fun team to watch. They've been one of the best over teams, team total. Minshew show, like, shout out to Minshew, honestly. Like, the guy just, like, is just, like, that backup. I feel like he's like gets paid to be a backup, but he's a starter every year. Like every team he's on, the quarterback gets hurt, he ends up being the starter. But I remember how much I was like shitting on Desmond Ridder start of the podcast, like first couple weeks.
Dude, he still sucks. I don't know, whatever you're gonna say, he still sucks.
Yeah, he still does. But whenever I shit on him on the podcast, I was always mentioning that the Falcons I don't think are that bad. It was the QB, and I understand that's the most important position on a team. But when I look at like Bijan and Algier together, the weapons that they have offensively and their defense, the way they're able to shut down teams, like they don't need Desmond Ridder to be great. I mean, you look at the Colts, their defense I think is like 23rd overall in total yards, around that. They're bottom 10 in running back, rushing allowed, passing allowed. Like their team, they're giving up like 20 plus every single game they're involved in. And to me, this has kind of been kind of that turn for the Falcons. And if in a matchup like this, I'll take the team with a better defense. So I know we're not getting a great number. I like this one up to 3. If it gets to 3, it's a no play for me. If you can get the 2 in the hook, I'm in on it.
Quick note, isn't it funny how like the last couple years it's been like, oh man, if the Colts had a quarterback, that defense is carrying. And this year they got a guy, and Gardner Minshew, who obviously wasn't supposed to be the starter, but kind of got that role. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson goes down for the year, and it's kind of the defense that's been holding them back a little bit. Like,
definitely.
It's wild how from year to year in the NFL, like things change so quick for units. Like even the Eagles, like last year, like the Eagles pass rush and everything about them was defense, and it freed the offense up so much. And now it's like this year, like can't get after the quarterback, can't stop anything through the air, and now our offense is just every game is just kind of feeling that pressure of like if we don't produce, we're going to be in a tight one or we might lose. But I digress.
There is one consistent though that every year, the Packers defense fucking sucks. Every year since Joe Barry has been, ever since we won the Super Bowl when fucking AJ Hawk and the fucking boys were playing, we've had a terrible defense every year. Like just absolutely atrocious. That all being said, it's been getting super hot in the kitchen for Joe, so I'm hoping he gets fired, but I don't think it'll be after this week because we are against Carolina, and the line is only -4 right now, and I think that's a way for the Packers to get. We need this win. It's one of those games where the Packers need a win bad, and it's against Carolina. They need a statement win. They can beat good teams, but this Carolina team has not shown anything positive this year. The defense is bad, but Carolina doesn't really do anything consistently on offense. I mean, Adam Thielen has had his games. Chuba Hubbard has, had a pretty decent season. But I just think actually Green Bay will put up a lot of points on them. I think that's going to be I think Jordan Love's going to have a really good game. He's played really well this year. And the line's only -4. I think that's a pretty favorable line for the Packers. I think they could definitely do that. Not really anybody notable injured right now. I'm pretty sure Aaron Jones is good to go this week. So we should have most of our weapons. I think Watson's going to be healthy too. So should be a pretty full team for Green Bay. So
let's go.
Kind of confused about the line myself. I mean, Vegas always knows. I guess Carolina is I can't think Carolina's at home, even though they sell 45-cent tickets.
I saw that too.
But yeah, give me Green Bay -4.
Real quick, I'll just say I'm on this game too. I'm on over 37.5. You started off by talking about how poor their defense has been. 58 points the last 2 games to Baker Mayfield and fucking Tommy DeVito after they beat the Chiefs and the Lions. And Hubbard's actually been pretty good. You threw his name out there. The rush defense is still the worst. We have, I believe, the second worst rush defense in the entire league. We continuously would draft we would draft defenders instead of like great wide receivers every single year. And we should have the best defense in the league based on our draft, but we haven't. But like you said, this Panthers team gives up so many points. We're finally healthy. They're distributing the ball quite a bit, and after 2 rough games, it's a good matchup to get. People are going to say, where the points going to come from the Panthers, and the fact of the matter is, I think that we're going to see the Packers score in the high 20s. If that's the case, we only need a little bit from the Panthers to get it going, and realistically, the Packers 58 points last 2 games. I don't really think they're going to just completely shut down the Panthers. So I'm on the over. It was 36.5, 37.5 now. Perfectly fine with me. Low-hanging fruit, I think.
That game's going to get 0 play on my TV on Sunday. That game's going to be
probably me too.
Brutal.
Probably me too.
I don't
doesn't mean I'm not betting it.
I don't need to watch to make money, Jake.
Yeah.
0 play on my TV. I don't have anything else for Sunday besides the primetime game. I don't know if you guys have anything else for Sunday that's not primetime.
I don't know if I am on it, actually, because the line surprises me a lot. It did shift tonight. But I'm on the Jags +1.5 against Tampa.
Weird line, eh?
Well, the main thing is that they're not sure about Trevor, right? He hasn't cleared the concussion protocol yet, but he practiced today.
That fucker's playing.
So yeah,
they need him.
Right? Like
they need him bad.
Doug Peterson came out. He's better than a coin flip to play. He always seems to play. It's kind of like Derek Carr, even though Derek Carr should just learn to sit sometimes.
But dude, that was a dumbass move for them to play him like too early, though.
Oh, for sure.
They come back, he loses 2 games in a row, well injured.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's just how they're gonna live and die. But
That just shows, though, they don't have any trust in anybody, any other quarterback in that room,
I also
right?
think, I also to give some slack to the team and organization, I think Trevor is honestly probably saying, I don't want to sit. Like, he seems like the type of guy where he just
nobody wants to sit, really.
No, but there are some, like Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, like Deshaun Watson sometimes is kind of like, you know, there are some guys out there.
I'll collect a bag this week and not play.
There's some guys out there.
He'll hit the massage table.
They're not, let's say this, they're not going to, they're going to fight a little harder than some. Some will fight a little harder, and I think Trevor's just one of those guys, and they need a win, right? Like, and I know Tampa Bay had a big game last week, but we talked about Green Bay's defense. They fucking suck, right? Like, they're terrible.
It's kind of a sell high on the Bucs because they have been playing pretty well.
Yeah, and people forget how good the Jags have been. Like, yes, they lost last week, and yes, they lost to Baltimore, but good teams, right? Like, it's not like they just were, and they didn't like get blown out by any stretch, really. Like, but Baltimore's, I said it a couple weeks ago on this podcast, Baltimore's really, really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like, a very complete football team right now. Like, I like them a lot, but yeah, I like the Jags, plus 1.5. Take it while you can get it plus, because it was plus 2.5 earlier today, and then it moved to plus 1.5.
Both of those teams, like, actually, like, do really need a win, like, really bad.
Exactly.
Like, both of them need, like, a win, like, really bad.
It's actually sweet. It's actually sweet how many like games there are where you could say that exact thing.
Well, it's like, because of the playoff picture this year is
crazy.
Fucked.
It's awesome.
It's the best it's been since I can remember.
Well, exactly. Like think about all the games we even picked today. Like Detroit and Minnesota. That's a huge game for both of those teams because the division technically is still up for grabs. So if Detroit can win this, they basically secure that division. But if Minnesota wins it, that basically almost secures their position over Green Bay, unless Green Bay can win. And then there's still a little bit of a back and forth, but it's a lot of stuff on the line for a lot of these divisions. So both of those teams really need to win. I just trust Trevor Lawrence coming back in that offense being full force against a team that I think is getting a little bit overplayed.
I don't have I'm not going to give out a pick for this game, but I think this would be like a sneaky good bet is Rachaad White over 71.5 rushing yards. 2 of his last 4, he's gone for 100. One game he went for 89 and one game he went for 84. Albeit, it was Indianapolis, Carolina, Atlanta, Green Bay. But the Jags' run defense is like middle of the pack. They've been giving up close to 100 yards a game rushing. So not an official pick, but that was one that caught my eye early that I just kind of jotted down with a little asterisk and threw it out there for the people that are looking for player pops.
He's been catching the ball too, so maybe a combo bet on that one.
Oh, yeah, he's come a long way from the start of the season. I have him in one of our fantasy leagues and just kind of seeing his growth from like the start of the year to the middle of the year to like the tail end of the year. I think the Bucs found a guy and they figured out how to use him and scheme him. So I actually do like Rachaad White a lot. But
there's a website I use, like team rankings, where you can see just like team how many completions per game, completions allowed per game, all that stuff, right? And there's an option where it's like the season as a whole, or away, or at home. But then you look at last 3. Because, like, it's crazy to look at, like, how, like, you were talking about certain player, like, I think it was Gibbs you were talking about, like, turning it on, right? And
yeah.
Dan Campbell, like, having faith in them. That's the interesting thing. You can look at, like, there were certain teams where I was, like, fading them against the run at the start of the year, and now they're, like, middle of the pack. Or certain teams that were, like, had bad secondaries at the start of the year, but now that's switched, and their secondary is good, but their rush defense, you know what I mean? It's crazy how some teams, like, they've utilized Rachaad White way better over the last 5 weeks than they were before, or even their run game, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I think it's really interesting to look sometimes, like, when I'm on the website, like, you can't make picks based on, like, the full season sometimes. Like, don't get me wrong. People hear me spitting, like, oh, this team's 21st ranked, whatever. Because it's nice to just throw something. Like, when you're making a pick, you're just trying to build a case, right?
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes, like, I'm a huge recency guy. Like, 3 or 4 weeks, that's the largest scale I really need to make a pick against the defense because teams change, right?
Definitely. this is a weird pick for me. I don't even know why. I don't even know if I really like this, to be honest. But Sunday nighter, we got Broncos versus Pats. And Skinny was shitting all over this too, so it's got me second guessing myself. But I'm going to go Javonte Williams over 67.5 rushing and receiving yards.
What did I say about that?
You said you were like,
Not the over on.
both on the combo.
Yeah.
But playing against the Pats are a pretty good defense. Javonte Williams has hit this. I think it was 4 out of his last 6 or 4 of his last 7. I think there's no coincidence when you look at like game logs and how the Broncos have done. And when the Broncos are at their best, Javonte Williams is kind of like the focal point of the offense. I think Sean Payton's realized, like, yes, we have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, but like realistically, like, let's not have Russ throw the ball too many times. Like, if we need him to throw the ball, we'll let him throw the ball. But let's turn around, hand the ball off. Let's dink and dime. And I know Jalen, it's not McLaurin, it's like McClellan or something like that, or whatever. Their backup running back.
I know what you mean.
He's a little gadget guy that's kind of got in the way recently of some of Javonte's receiving yards, but Javonte's actually like a pretty decent receiving back. So I think against the Patriots in a bounce back game where the Broncos are still fighting for the playoffs, it's get your main guy involved and let's use him every which way we can. And I just initially liked this, but Skinny was shitting all over it, so now he's got to be second guessing myself.
I'm just saying it's a nice way sometimes to bet an under, but but you can, like I said with Eckler, I was saying Eckler, I'd look over on that.
It sounds like you're backtracking now just to be nice. It's all good. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
All right.
I respect it. Did anybody else have anything for this game, or is this just like a solo?
I've got one.
That's all you.
I've got
That's getting
for the primetime, the Broncos game, right? Yeah, I'm on under 21.5 team total for the Broncos. So if you're not...
Wait. What did you say? Under 21.5?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
What?
I don't know. I just thought that's not where I thought you were going, to be honest.
If you're not the Eagles, Chiefs, Dolphins, or Bills, then you haven't gotten over this number against the Patriots this season. And it's crazy. I know that's me just... Obviously, those are 4 of the best teams. Definitely the 4 best teams they've played.
Asterisks against the Eagles.
Well, yeah. But like the fact of the matter is, the Patriots, and I'm not really breaking any news to anybody, the Patriots are not losing games because of their defense. We all know this. Like, if you play defense for the Patriots, like, you should be getting all the credit. Like, your offense should be buying you dinners because, like, you're doing fine. Like, you should be getting credit. Like, at least if the talking heads in Boston are saying positive things about that team, it should be about their defense. And I look at this game, I feel like the Pats' rushing defense has been pretty solid over the past few weeks. They're containing teams. They're good at shutting down number 1 guys. And like I said, unless you're playing, one of those big 4 teams that I mentioned, teams are just winning scrappy, low-scoring games. Let's not forget that 6-0 loss where they got to push on the spread and they didn't score a damn point. That's pretty much been the Patriots. So the fact that I can get to 21 and a hook, I really like that. So don't really care what happens to the Patriots. I'll just take the Broncos team total under.
It's kind of embarrassing. Side note, I'm absolutely going through a calf cramp right now mid-podcast.
Give it a stretch.
I'm trying, but trying not to, get up.
I've been in worse situations with a calf cramp.
But
You got shot by a sniper. Top mid-podcast.
It feels bad. But we'll jump in.
It's the worst when you're going to the bathroom in the middle of the night. You ever have that when you're a night of drinking or something? Go to the bathroom, just get sniped and fucking calf. Oh, I'm fucking struggling.
Just immediate seize up, automatic lay down for a second. But we'll jump into the Christmas Day games on Monday. First year for this. I have mixed feelings. Obviously, we want to get as much football as we can, especially the season's winding down.
Let the NBA have something, man.
That's where I was going. Christmas Day has always been kind of the NBA.
Something.
The NBA is probably going to get 0 play on Christmas Day this year, which is super unfortunate. But I mean, I guess kudos to the NFL just kind of bullying the other sports, being like, hey, we're any day that's meaningful, we're taking.
NFL is like an only child, man. They just can't let they see the other kids having fun. It's like, no, you can't have that.
I'm actually gonna take this and I'm gonna go home. Thank you. But I guess it's cool, but I'm always accustomed to waking up on Christmas Day, and Christmas Day is usually when I lock in my first bet for the NBA on the year. That's usually when I start to maybe
Art
get
Caesar? We interviewed him.
Yeah,
he said that exact same thing today. He goes, a lot of people just get into NBA betting on Christmas
Day, and it's like this year, it's like fuck. Like if I got football, I'm probably not betting NBA. Like I haven't bet it yet this year, so might as well not start. But the first game I got is Raiders versus Chiefs. A little bit uncharacteristic for me, but I'm going to go Raiders plus 10. I think that's a large spread. I think the Chiefs have been very up and down this year. I think this year more than ever, I've disliked Mahomes. I was always okay with all of like the showboating and like showtime and fun offense. I think that's good for the game, but like the complaining that's been coming out of that guy recently has like really been rubbing me the wrong way, and that has nothing to do with my pick. Just personal kind of like, like I don't want to say shut up and play, but like you guys get so many calls and you guys have gotten so many things go your way over the last like 3 or 4 years. Like for all of a sudden, like for things like your first season where you're just not like walking over everybody and you're not like the de facto Super Bowl favorite is when you decide to like start getting like a little bitchy and moody. Like, I don't know, it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. But I've liked everything I've seen out of the Raiders since they got their interim coach. Aiden O'Connell, you never know what you're going to get out of him. I think if you get a decent game out of him, the Raiders can hang around and keep it within 10. Noah's favorite talking point about the Chiefs, not a notorious cover team, and I think we've experienced that over the last couple years. Obviously, Raiders going to the Chiefs is tough, but I just kind of like the synergy that's going on in Las Vegas right now, and I think a lot of the players are playing for the coach's job. I don't think they want another coach next year. I think they found a guy that they actually like and they want to play for. That's not McDaniels. So I think just storyline, the way the Chiefs have been trending lately, large point spread, notoriously don't cover. I wish it was 10.5, and hopefully by Sunday it's 10.5 so I can get that hook that we all love. But if I get a push on plus 10, I'm okay with that as well. But no way right now with what's going on with the Chiefs, I can take the number there.
Are you on that game?
No. I don't really like the game. If I were to go anything, I agree with a lot of what Jake said. But yeah, Chiefs, I don't know what they're about this year.
I kind of like small lean to the over with me. Last time they met, there were some points in that one. The Raiders really don't need much themselves to actually, put it up and over. I think the Chiefs will put out the majority of the points. Hunter Renfrow, I saw some random, I was going through game logs today. The guy's getting 4 or 5 targets per game, and somehow he averages 6 yards per game.
Guy sucks.
He's either not catching them or getting a lot of bad passes, but he's someone to look towards the under, slight lean towards the over on that one for me. I see that our computer's dying. I'm going to point out the obvious for all of us. I'll let you guys know. I've got one play only. Quality, not quantity for Christmas Day. Christian McCaffrey over 32.5 receiving yards. Niners against the Ravens there. I believe the Ravens will try their best to shut down the run game. McCaffrey always does this. If they're going to shut down the run game, he'll kill you in the receiving game. Last week, he went well over, I think he doubled both his receiving and his rushing number. And I think that he'll hurt them in a big way that way. Looking at his rushing number being in the 80s and then seeing only 32.5 for his receiving number, I think is too soft, and I think they get exposed that way. So that's my favorite play of Christmas, guys, and hopefully that can be my Christmas gift.
Shout out to the MVP of the all-white team. Hopefully the NFL brings that into the Pro Bowl. That would be absolutely electric.
Oh, that would be actually amazing.
Who was the guy that had that tweet about that? Did you see
Rashard
that?
Mendenhall.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And then Will Compton's fucking taking this to another level, but I love it. I love it.
No, I love it too, but I'll make...
Nothing like 2023 bringing back race wars in the NFL.
Gotta love it.
And we move on.
I'm gonna get that one real quick because I'm picking a black guy for my prop. I really like.
You're not on Young Hoku.
I really like Isaiah Likely over on receiving yards because he's always likely to get his prop bets. But no, but seriously, I tailed him last week. This is when Lamar really loves his tight ends. Pause.
Another good one.
He does love his tight end receivers, and you know what? Like last week, Isaiah Likely really came out as like the star last week. Got the first touchdown last game. Thank you. And also, just got over his receiving yards. I think he'll go to him a lot this game. I think he's been a good replacement for Mark Andrews. I mean, it's hard to replace a guy like him, but Lamar likes going to those guys, and I just see it again in a game like this where San Francisco's defense is going to be really good. He's going to have to get some drop-offs. Maybe even it's a play to take receptions and receiving yards, but it's only at 38.5, so I like the line.
All right, we're ticking right along. Fuck that game. Going back to a well where I'm probably going to die at. Eagles versus Giants.
He's back.
No, I'm not betting the game. Fuck them. Fuck them. Dead to me right now. I'm going to take Goddard over 41.5 receiving yards. I think Goddard, since he's come back, he's been a little bit of a missing piece for the Eagles. I think he's the middle of the field guy. Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith both like to work outside the numbers. Goddard's that guy that works inside the numbers. They like to throw him screen passes. They like to get him involved as much as he can. Running game's non-existent unless it's Jalen Hurts, so clearly we're going to live and die by throwing the ball, but I'm just going to go to Jalen's guy, and I'm just going to keep it short and sweet that if Goddard doesn't hit this and the Eagles don't win, then fuck us. But for closing comments, I don't think we're going to have any because this computer is going to die. So you can find, again, We All Gamble, powered by Mayflower Sports. You can find us on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcasts, all that good stuff. You can find us on our YouTube channel at Mayflower Sports. Twitter's Sports Mayflower. Fuck that guy still.
TikTok. Show us some love on
TikTok too. We're Mayflower Sports. But for We All Gamble, powered by Mayflower Sports, I'm Jacob, Andrew, Noah. This has been week 16. Happy holidays to everybody, and we'll see you in the new year.